Good morning, my friends. Welcome to this episode of Healing Your Codependency. I'm Marshall Berkshire, and I'm your guide into discovering more peace, more freedom, and more of who you are beyond codependency. Today, we're going to touch on the topic of being a real person. This might sound a little weird, or it might be really resonant towards you, because codependency and abuse and neglect, we aren't treated as a real person. Instead, we're treated as an object, and that leads us to look at ourselves as more of a function that provides something rather than a living, breathing human being. So that's what we're going to be jumping into today. So, do you feel like you're a real person? Let me know in the comments below if that resonates with you. Am I real? Do I matter? Am I actually a person, or am I just something somebody else wants or uses and things like that? This is something I wrestled with a lot, especially growing up, because I grew up in a transactional culture, transactional religion, and in a family unit that maximized the utility of the person. We were praised for what we did. We were punished for what we didn't do. And the feeling of being loved or wanted or valued because you existed wasn't a thing. In fact, the first time I actually experienced that sensation of being loved and valued because I existed, I was like 21 when that actually showed up in my body as a real lived experience of like, ooh, I'm a real person. These people like me, they love me, they care about me as a human being. See, when we grow up in transactional families, we grow up in transactional cultures or relational systems, we internalize a sense of being an object. Oh, I'm good when I do this, I'm bad when I do that. I'm good when they're pleased, I'm bad when they're disappointed. Notice the binary transactional nature of this. And notice how it's all performative. It's what I do and what I don't do that determines my value socially and my value personally. And that divorces us, this kind of transactional experience divorces us from our own feelings, our own embodiment, our own presence, our own intuitions, our own senses, our own ability to acknowledge and conceptualize and then communicate what we are experiencing in our reality. So we struggle to really connect with, hey, I matter. I'm important. The fact that I exist matters to other people, or matters to myself. I have some relevancy, some sense of value and importance in the world. Instead, it's like what I do is what makes me valuable. That brings a huge amount of stress and pressure into our world. It turns us into perfectionists. It turns us into people pleasers. It leaves us empty, riddled with anxiety and riddled with frustration and hunger for what we're looking for. We seek connection by doing things, and then when those things are not either valued, they're not recognized, they're not loved, well, we lose the connection. We struggle with the idea of presence, meaning, oh, just being in the presence with someone who loves us is enough. I don't have to be doing something to make them happy for me to be valuable. We struggle with the very essence of value, of worth. We think that it's earned. We think it's conditional, which means it can be raised and lowered based on other people's perspectives and experiences. Yeah, we don't know what it's like to be a real person. We don't know what it's like to be personified, to be actualized as a human being with a whole universe and tapestry of perspectives and senses, insights, limitations, challenges, joys, desires, hopes, wants, dislikes. See, when we become embodied in our own personhood, we become a person to ourselves, we start to realize we live in this immense, colorful, living, breathing world within ourselves and outside of ourselves. So rather than it being about this performative aspect, being, oh, I do this thing. Because you ever notice when people ask you, who are you? Well, I'm a doctor, or I'm a coach, or I'm a dad, or I'm this or that. It's usually a function we describe, a role. So a lot of times when people ask me, well, who are you, Marshall? I'm like, oh, we're all discovering that together. We'll find out who we are, who I am today, right now. I can describe attributes, but that's not the complete who, because I don't know yet. I probably never will. And that's what it means to becoming personified, is realizing, oh, I have this living universe within me. I have feelings about things. I have senses about them. I have perspectives. I have priorities. I have things I don't like. I have things I do. The way I do things, what is that like? What's the behaviors? What's the antics? What's the energy and the flavor of it? So becoming personified really means I'm becoming alive to myself. My awareness, rather than being oriented outside of myself to everybody else, what they think, what they want, what they prioritize, is actually redirected towards me and going, what am I aware of in me? What's speaking in me? What is it telling me about the people, places, and things I encounter? What am I discovering in my living, breathing experience? That's what it means to become real to ourselves, to become a person, is we are able to connect with, understand, and follow our own intuition, our own brilliance, our own joy, care for, witness and care for our pain, our wants, our needs, and experience a somatic or felt sense presence of occupying space in our lives. And that's one of the most essential central pillars of my work, because there's 8 pillars in this work of healing codependency, and one of them is to be sovereign. Part of that sovereignty is this personhood. I am a human being. I am a person, and that has an inherent value, that has limits, that has boundaries, that has desires, that has wants, that has capabilities, and that exists. You are that too. You have inherent value, inherent importance. You have inherent space to take up and inherent expressions to contribute, so that you can be known, you can be seen, you can be valued by others and by yourself. That's what sovereignty is about. That's what being sovereign is about. That's what personification is about. So we heal codependency. It isn't just, oh, I'm reducing pain and increasing peace. It's also I'm increasing my expansion of who I am in my own awareness about me. And I am able to connect with it and discover it and experiment and learn more about me as I move forward in my life. So if you're not feeling real to yourself, the first step here is to turn your attention towards you. So when you find yourself wandering out here in the world, what do they think? What do they feel? What do they want? We can turn that around and go, what am I aware of? What am I sensing? What is it that I want here? And we may, and most of the time initially, we're going to be like, oh, I don't know the right answer. We're going to try to find the right answer, which means we're looking outward. But when we turn inward and we start to listen to the responses that come up to those questions, we start to connect to a felt sense experience of our beingness. Then we start getting impulses like a yes, like a desire towards a thing, or a repulsion towards a thing, or an ambivalence. That's a yes, no, and a maybe showing up. It's where we get an intuitive read, like, what about this or that? And we play with it and we act on it and we see something happen and we're like, yeah, that's it. We start to pick up on our environment, the way it feels, how our contact with the world feels, or with our own body feels. This is coming into that living, breathing experience of being a person. Back to our personhood. It's that turning inward of that attention towards ourselves so we can start sensing into it. Then we can acknowledge the fact that we have our own intrinsic sovereignty, meaning I have the inherent right to govern my space and my resources according to my values and principles and rules. This is where I learn what to say yes to and no to, what boundaries to erect, what gates to open. This is the fundamental space of, or a fundamental act of taking up space and allowing yourself to consume resource, to pursue things that matter, and to contribute things that matter to you. This is that living, breathing experience of being alive. So that's the reason I share this today, is because it's been alive in me. The more I am occupying my own space, my own boundaries, my own inherent rights to yes and no and maybe, the more I practice trusting in my own legitimacy that I am real and valid because I exist, the more this becomes alive. The deeper the access I get to my own worth, my own internal brilliance and guidance. I wanted to share this with you guys because that's within you too. You're a real person. You have inherent value, inherent importance, and inherent priority. Your work is to discover that and then prioritize and act from it. That's what we do in the codependency healing system. That's what I do in this work. And if you want help in that, you want to start this journey, the big, deep journey of becoming personified, embodying your worth, creating a real connection in your world, increasing safety, increasing your own sense of sanity and connection with reality. Come join us for the 8 Factors that Heal Codependency workshop that starts here July 29th, and for the Codependency Healing System that starts August 14th, where we go into this deep dive over 10 months, 9 months of working together, making this real. It's a long journey, but then it should be long because we're learning how to build life from a personhood in ourselves rather than from this transactional matrix we've been all stuck in because of the cultures we grow up in. Healing codependency, it's a lifelong work. That's the magic though. Okay. My friends, to start this journey off and becoming more real to yourself, take time to acknowledge what you feel about something, what you notice, you sense about something. And allow that to be real and true to you, despite what someone else might think or say. And this is your first experience and your first touch of your innate legitimacy and your personhood. So let me know your thoughts below, any questions you've got below. Go gently with yourselves, my friends. Come again to that workshop, to the 8 Factors that Heal Codependency workshop that's starting July 29th, so a week and a half from now. And let's help you discover more of your personhood in your world. Go gently, and I'll see you guys in our next episode. Bye-bye.